So welcome everyone. So I'm very happy to be here and to see so many of you. So my name is Dr. Buehlmaier. I'm the program director of the IBGM program. And we also have many other people here from the IBGM program. So for example, Dr. Jing is also here.
Hello.
So Dr. Jing is the deputy program director and admissions tutor. So for the admissions part, you're gonna hear more from her. And then we have 4 of our current students here as well. So they're gonna introduce themselves in a short while. So yeah, so just to let you know, we are gonna have a few slides prepared and we're gonna go through them, with the help of the current IBGM students and Dr. Jing, of course, as well. And then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session, so where you can ask all the questions that you might have about IBGM. And yeah, but if you happen to have like a very urgent question in between, feel free to just ask in the while we go through the slides as well. All right, so then I'm just gonna start here. So probably, just to give you a very brief introduction and overview about the IBGM program. So it's our flagship program at HKU Business School here. And as the name suggests, so it's, international business and global management. So, we look at cultural perspectives, cultural sensitivity, social responsibility, and the key competencies to succeed, in this global environment, which are, all these elements are becoming more and more important. Now, having, introduced the IBGM program, I would like then to go on and introduce our current IBGM students who are here today to also share their experience with you.
Hi everyone, this is Bianca. Great to be with you all today. I'm currently a year 3 student at IBGM and I second major in politics and public administration. And I graduated from Marymount Secondary School a couple of years ago. So let me share a bit more about what I've been up to in my few years of university life. So I have co-founded a social enterprise called Mealingful, and I would share a bit more about that later on. I'm currently taking a gap semester to take on an internship at KPMG Risk Advisory. And in the past, I've been really interested in social innovation and CSR, etc. So I took on a CSR role in my corporate, as well as took on an NGO internship. Outside of my work and also my school and academics, I've also taken part in social innovation activities. For example, at my role in Enactus Hong Kong, and I'm also really an active member in IBGM as I'm a deputy head in the enrichment department. So I could share a bit more about student committees in the IBGM journey later on. Outside of this, I am also really interested in case competitions. And after joining some local case competitions, as well as joining the case competition talent program provided by HKU, I was really privileged to be able to take part in some of the international case competitions, and lucky enough to have me and my team members to get working together to become the Asia Division winner of Theresa Undergraduate Business Challenge, which is a case competition in Thailand. So that's a bit about me, and hope to share a bit more about different aspects of IBGM later on.
Hi everyone, so I'm Devlin Wong. I'm currently a year 5 student at the University of Hong Kong, also an IBGM student with a second major in wealth management. So I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and I attended an international school, so specifically the Canadian International School of Hong Kong. So I guess, even though I'm joined by a bunch of other amazing IBGM students today, I'm very old. I'm in year 5 already, and that's because I took a gap year to pursue a range of internships, specifically finance-related internships. So I've completed private banking and investment banking internships across a range of firms, including Citibank, Greenhill, and Deutsche Bank. So today I'll be speaking more about things like professional and career development, common career trajectories for IBGM students, etc. So I'm very happy to be here today, and I hope you guys can take away something from this talk today.
So hi everyone, I'm Helena, and it's my pleasure to be here today. And I'm currently a year 2 IBGM student with a double major in information systems. So some background information about myself. I studied at Marymount Secondary School, same as Bianca, and graduated in 2019 with a HKDSE qualification. I'd say that I am a person with quite a lot of hobbies and interests. So to list some, I like baking desserts, busking, and playing musical instruments, etc. I'll also describe myself as an active person who participates in a variety of activities both internally at HKU and externally outside of school. So some of my achievement highlights are listed on this slide, so I'm not going to go into detail. But what I'd like to emphasize is that it was especially after getting admitted into the IBGM program that I was enabled to gain exposure to a diversity of student societies and activities, as well as external competitions, both locally and internationally. And one of the most remarkable international business competitions I've had was the Washington Georgetown University McDonald Business Strategy Challenge, which was just this month. And my team was placed a regional champion and a bracket runner-up in that competition. And if you're interested to know more, I can share a bit more about the experience later on. I've also worked previously at the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce as a business development intern during year 1, and I'm currently working as a risk advisory intern at 𝙪𝙬𝙬𝙬. So that basically wraps up my university experience up till now. And I'll now pass the time to our last student speaker, Theresa.
Hi, I'm Theresa. I'm currently a year 2 BBA IBGM student, and I'm so glad that I can be here to share with you guys about more IBGM. So my second major is information system, and I'm graduated from St. Paul's School Lamtin. So I'm actually studying in a local school with a DSE qualification. So for my internship experience, I'm currently the business analyst intern at Meltwater. And I also founded Student Home, which is a organization dedicated to assist with students learning and also motivation, time management, etc. So not sure if any one of you have heard of this. So I'm also in a stage of exploring my future path. Therefore, I actually participated in several extracurricular activity to really learn more about different fields and discover my interests and different strengths and weakness. So including being the analyst at HKU Trading Group, head of talent management at Shared Consulting HKU, and also I'm the HKU Business School student consultant working to assess the social impact of some of the NGOs. And like other business students, I also participated several business case competition, including the ACCA and CFA Institute Business Competition, where our team won the second runner-up and the best budgeting team. So later on, I will share more a bit about my business case competition experience, so you guys can learn more.
All right, thank you very much to all the current students. I think that was a very, very, useful self-introduction, because we're going to hear more from you. And by the way, so we also had previously on the HKU Information Day another information session for IBGM. So, and you can see the recording on YouTube. There are more students who are actually also sharing, and we also had an alumni sharing from IBGM students. So Sasha is going to post those links in the chat window. Along with other links, so about our about our website, our Instagram page, Facebook page, and some other videos showing about showing things that we do in IBGM. So feel free to take a look at those as well. All right, so now we are going on and show you the path through the IBGM curriculum. So here's kind of like a visual representation of what we would go through in those 4 years at IBGM. And so in the first year, there would be some common core courses that builds the foundation, some IBGM courses, and then you see that there's a second major starting in year 2, where students also learn more about not just the business side, but they can freely choose from 60+ second majors at HKU. We have an international field trip in year 2. So this is where students go on an international field trip, have an international experience. We also have the exchange in year 3. So again, students go overseas in this year for at least 1 semester. Some students, they even go 2 times. So we had a student in the past going to King's College London, I think, and the other then for the second time to Harvard University as a visiting student. So this is relatively flexible, at least one exchange. And then we have a few new initiatives. So the first one is the Leadership Bootcamp in year 1, and an Asia Pacific study tour, again, a overseas and international traveling opportunity at the end of year 1. So basically in every year, in year 1, year 2, and year 3, there is an international element in IBGM. And then in the final year, in year 4, then students typically focus on their career path in terms of finding the full-time career after their graduation. All right, so now we have just mentioned the second major, and we can learn more about this next from Bianca.
Yep, thanks, Dr. Buehlmaier. So if you're entering into IBGM, your first major would obviously be International Business and Global Management. For your second major, however, you can choose from a flora of different majors. If you're interested in specializing in a particular field in business or finance, you can choose that as your second major. If you're like me, for example, who hope to learn something outside of business and finance, for example, I chose politics and public administration because I'm interested in understanding how humans interact, how societies are built. If you're interested in this, you can also choose something outside of HKU Business School. So it's pretty flexible for you as well. Given that HKU is, the top university and the university with the longest history, it has a really wide range of subjects for you to choose from. So this is something that really attracted me when I was in your position as well, choosing which program to go to. And also, given that business is, in a sense, integrated in different fields. For example, it could be applied into, the music industry, tourism industry, or even within the government, you need a business mindset. So this is something that I think really prepares you for your really specialized future career, where you can apply your business mindset you learned from IBGM major into a specific field that you chose. For really ambitious people, you can see on the right side of the screen, they may also choose a second major as well as a minor. So this is something that the IBGM curricular offers, like a really wide range of flexibility.
So apart from allowing flexibility in choosing your second major, to equip IBGM students with leadership skills essential for personal growth and career development, a leadership bootcamp will be held exclusively for IBGM students in year 1. So some highlights of the bootcamp include a fireside chat with startup founders, where we learned how to think from an entrepreneur mindset, a rapid prototyping exercise that encouraged us to think innovatively and apply our creativity in designing a product specifically for a niche target customer group, as well as lastly, a 24-hour pitching contest where we got to drill on our 21st century business ideas and pitch it to the cohort. So in the next slide, you'll have a glimpse of how our leadership bootcamp went in 2019, which is my year. So personally, I really treasured the opportunity to attend this bootcamp, as I never actually invested any of my time into figuring out what type of leadership style would fit me most. And this bootcamp helped me identify the strengths and weaknesses specific to my leadership style, so I can have a better understanding of what qualities I should work more on. And of course, one of the most memorable moments would be to have late night chats and games with your friends at IBGM. So to wrap up, the Leadership Bootcamp is a golden opportunity for IBGM students to gear up for the future and shine with their unique leadership qualities.
So after your leadership bootcamp, you would also have the chance to go on an Asia Pacific study tour, which will be held exclusively for IBGM students with a lot of support from the HKU Business School in the year 1 summer. So within this Asia Pacific study tour, you'll be able to have a really wide exposure to different tech companies, startups, or even MNCs, and also family businesses. So you'll be exposed to a lot of different people, new experiences, be able to interact with them, integrated with a lot of group discussions and a lot of reflections. So it's a really intensive study tour where you can have an eye-open experience. So on the next slide, you would see that some of the highlights from my year, which is actually the first time the Asia Pacific study tour has been held. We visited the headquarters of Google in Singapore, so we understood how they cultivated innovation within such a large company by offering a great environment for their employees. For example, we also visited family businesses and also Uber and also Shopee startups like these, up and emerging startups, to understand how Singapore is cultivating itself into an innovation hub and how Hong Kong or us as business students can learn from this experience. So all in all, it was not just a fun experience you can go on with your cohort and hang out at night, but it's also a really eye-opening experience where you can enter companies that you usually may not be able to enter and interact with.
Yeah, thanks for the sharing, Bianca. I wish I got a chance to go experience the APAC study tour. Fortunately, I didn't get to. So now we'll move on to talk about the 1 week field trip, okay? So this is a big highlight of IBGM. So essentially what it is, it's a 1 week field trip designed to help you develop a global mindset by providing you the opportunity to see how businesses in other countries operate. And you also obviously develop multicultural sensitivity because you're immersing yourself in a new culture for a whole week. So overall, I would say it's a very enriching and also a very eye-opening experience. So speaking from my personal experience, I went in 2016. So this was Australia. Obviously, there are many other destinations for field trips, including things like Barcelona, Denmark, Netherlands, etc. So in Australia, what I did was we visited a range of firms from different sectors, okay? So this includes the banking sector, the consumer and retail sector, and to be more specific, we actually visited some surfing companies and some wineries in Australia. So what I really liked about this field trip is that you really get to first-handedly witness how businesses operate. You understand their product and service offerings, their supply chains, distribution channels, their competitors, etc. And you also get to interact with senior management at the company to listen to them share their thoughts on the industry to truly understand the company from an executive's point of view. And I think what's amazing about this field trip is that it's structured in a way that maximizes your learning. So what I mean by this is that prior to the field trip, you will be taught frameworks and concepts required to analyze businesses so that during the field trip, you can then apply the frameworks learned in class to maximize your learning. And most importantly, as you can see from the pictures over here, my personal favorite takeaway from the field trip is that you just develop very close bonds with your cohort. So outside from the orientation camp, I would say international field trip is probably the best way to bond with other students in the IBGM program. And in the process, you also develop a lot of soft skills that are required to succeed in the business setting, because international field trip, a lot of it is group oriented. So you do a lot of group projects together. And I think through this, you can really improve your collaboration skills, your communication skills, as well as your leadership skills, all in which are, I think, very crucial soft skills to sort of excel in the real world. Now, moving on to talk about the overseas exchange program. So this was definitely a personal highlight for me. It's very memorable. And I think it's a highlight because once again, you're immersing yourself in a new environment, but now this time it's for a longer duration. It's for 6 months, or as Mr. Buehlmaier said earlier, some students even did it for a whole year. So in general, I would say that IBGM students have a very strong network of partner schools, which means that you'll be educated at a very top institution for your exchange program. And I guess another benefit of the exchange program is that you get to transfer credits. This is also a key benefit. Now, what I like most about the exchange program is that you really get to craft your own journey. So what I mean by that is you sort of figure out what your purpose is for the exchange program, and then you go in it with intent. So personally, I got the opportunity to exchange at USC in California, the University of Southern California. But as you can see from the map here, there are so many other partner universities that the IBGM program has. So earlier, what I said about going, applying for exchange programs and experiencing it with intent. So what I mean is, to give you an example, one of my other friends went to NYU for exchange, another IBGM fellow student. Now, obviously, NYU Stern is probably one of the best, finance schools in the world. So his intent going into the exchange program was to really, absorb as much knowledge and content as he can from the lectures, network with banking professionals, and develop his career. Whereas for me, on the other hand, USC is, even though it is a good finance school, it is more well known for their student societies, very strong fraternity cultures, etc. So I went into my exchange program with the mindset to absorb the culture, to join as many student societies as possible, and to develop that multicultural sensitivity. So if any of the audience members today in the future do end up going into IBGM and you do apply for exchange, remember to first determine what your purpose is on going for the exchange, and I'm sure that you can maximize your opportunities there.
So IBGM students are also high achievers in both local and international business competitions. And here is a list of proven records of IBGM students in business competitions held around the world. And you don't even have to worry if you haven't been competing in any of these competitions before, but would like to join the first one, because you can register as a member at HKU International Case Society, where you get to receive specialized training in case cracking, business analysis, and financial modeling. And you can also get support from HKU Business School to ask for a case competition mentor when applying for these competitions, so you can better grasp the essential skills crucial to winning a competition. And now Theresa will further elaborate on this.
Yes, so here you can see some of the pictures showing the achievement of IBGMers in business case competition. So I would say gaining achievement in these kind of competition is quite a big plus to your resume, because it shows that you're not only good at studying, not only good at academic study, but also multi-talent. And another thing is that you can actually, it is actually quite a rewarding experience for you to join business case competition. So I myself have participated for 3 to 4 case competition in year 1. So to me, it is quite interesting, because you will be given a question or a situation or a problem to solve. And at the end, if you pass to the second round or final round, you will be given a mentor who will give you advice on your idea. And then you will have to pitch in front of a panel of judges. So throughout the journey, you will learn how to better solve a problem, how to present your idea in a clear way, organized way. And from that journey, you will really improve your soft skills, as well as other hard skills, technical skills, quantitative analysis ability. So it is really a rewarding experience if you participate in different kind of case competition.
All right, and then on to global experiences. So we also have a so-called sponsorship scheme, which means that we support students financially if they want to go overseas and participate in various activities. For example, conferences or service trips and education projects and so forth. So so if you want to learn more about this, feel free again to take a look at our website. There are basically reports from the students, and you can see pictures of what they have done all over the world. And so I think that's another kind of cornerstone in the IBGM experience, where students can travel a lot and are financially supported by IBGM as well.
Yep. IBGM is not only really supportive towards students' academic as well as ECA development, they're also really supportive towards individual initiatives outside of university. So for example, throughout my university years, I've co-founded a social enterprise called Mealingful, which aims to raise awareness towards dysphagia and also develop the soft meal market. So in case you don't know, soft meal, so what is soft meal? If you look at the picture on the bottom left corner, you can see that it's like a CNY festive food, pun choi. However, it's actually really soft. It has a mousse texture, so that people with swallowing difficulties can actually enjoy this food alongside their family members in different festivals. So we operate an online platform, and we also conduct a lot of offline events to really spread awareness towards this issue and also towards the quality of life of elderly. So I was really lucky to have the support of HKU as well as IBGM throughout the journey. And I would say being in IBGM also impacted me and motivated me to take on this opportunity. For example, during my earlier trips, boot camps or field Asia Pacific study tour, I was able to see how different startups are started, and also which also motivated me that I could be the person who's about to create change, and I could be the one who is actually starting something. Also in IBGM, you have a really interesting cohort of people who work on different topics. Although within the Mealingful team, there isn't any other IBGM member. However, when I am my IBGM friends have always been really encouraging and supportive of my initiative, and they also have really exciting initiatives on their own that they're trying to launch outside of university. So I believe that this really diverse and also inspiring cohort and community is what really drives you to pursue something outside of just more than academics and more than the usual path that other students may go through.
Yeah, so moving on to the professional and career development section, I think it's very important for you guys to note that there's a lot of other ways to enrich yourself in the IBGM program outside of the classroom, right? It's not just through lectures. I think IBGM, there are just a range of programs that you can enroll in to gain the practical skill sets that would be required to excel in a range of business settings. So here's just a list of, I think, some very popular programs that IBGM students enroll in to sort of enrich themselves. So this includes the HKU Eccentric Business Consulting Program, the Shanghai Summer Internship Program, Consulting Case Analysis Workshop, etc. So I personally had the chance to enroll in the HKU Eccentric Business Consulting Program, which was frankly a very life-changing experience because it's so comprehensive and it's structured very well. So how it works is that there were weekly training workshops to tackle case studies in a group setting, and you also get a chance to be mentored by a very experienced consultant, so you know how consultants actually apply frameworks in the real world. And actually at the end of the program, there's actually a case competition for you to apply the skills and the frameworks taught in the workshops. And most importantly, they actually offer an internship opportunity for outstanding students who excel in the program. So it's really an all-in-one package. I personally really enjoyed the HKU Eccentric Business Consulting Program. I'm sure all the other programs listed here are also extremely fruitful in their own ways. Now, this is Dragonfly is sort of a little side venture that I founded in my final year. So as I said, I'm currently a year 5 student, and I actually received a lot of support during year 3 and 4 specifically when I was applying for jobs and applying for investment banks. So I personally am establishing my career in the finance sector, and that's why I founded Dragonfly, which is a pro bono mentorship platform dedicated to help students break into investment banking and law in Hong Kong. And throughout the past 4 months, I think we've achieved a lot of milestones. We had the chance to partner with a lot of top student societies globally. And up to date, we've held over 10 webinars, we've published lots of articles, and a lot of our mentees have also secured jobs and internships at the top investment banks in the world. So really my vision for Dragonfly is really to develop a community of future bankers and lawyers who can share the same vision of giving back. And so if any members in the audience today do join the IBGM program in the future, I really sincerely hope that Dragonfly can really assist you with your career development and help you secure your dream career if you do choose to commit to finance and banking. Now, moving on to internships, I guess the harsh reality is that given how competitive the job market is these days, I think it's extremely important to complete relevant internships to ultimately secure a job upon graduation. And this is especially the case for, I think, more quote unquote traditional industries like consulting and banking, which is what lots of IBGM students aim for. Now, I really want to make it clear that just because consulting and banking are like very common sort of careers that IBGM students go for, I think the IBGM program is designed in such a way that it equips you with the skill sets required to excel in a range of industries, because the skill sets you develop are quite interdisciplinary. So it doesn't have to be consulting or banking, right? As you can see here, you can go into IT, you go into government and NGOs, you can work as a management trainee at major corporates, you can do marketing, you could do operations, you could do business development. The list sort of goes on, or just whatever you're interested in. And I guess I'm very happy to say that, as you can see from the list here, IBGM students generally do have a very, very strong record with internships. And I think this is a result of a very comprehensive curriculum with diverse exposure and with strong professional and career development programs, as I mentioned previously. And I guess another good thing is that IBGM students also tend to have pretty good grades, which also helps with the internship hunting process. And I guess to elaborate, there's also lots of professional development programs offered by IBGM students to help you better secure internships and to help you, get them prepared. So to give you an example, there's one called the HKU International Case Society, or HKS. So this society, I think, really enables students to develop the necessary leadership, the necessary teamwork and critical thinking skills and presentation skills to excel in a wide range of business environments. And I think IBGM students consistently perform very well in these programs. And I suspect a lot of the audience members today don't know what LinkedIn is, but the LinkedIn community in IBGM is also something I value a lot. I suppose most of you don't have LinkedIn accounts yet, but once you get into university and you start searching for internships, LinkedIn will probably be your best friend. And IBGM has its own LinkedIn community, which means that you can reach out to alumni easily and really foster, I think, a very closely knit IBGM community to support each other, both on a personal and professional level.
Okay, so far we have discussed a lot of things about IBGM. So probably at this point, you are also still so confused about how to transit from secondary school to university education. So maybe you have questions like how to improve your resume, is GPA important? I think all these questions you can be solved from a list of academic support from IBGM. Maybe from IBGM department, or you can directly reach out to the IBGM seniors. And this connection is actually quite a good thing, and I would say is actually the best thing I like about IBGM, because you can reach out to seniors anytime if you want and ask for any academic advice and other information. So I still remember that in my year when I first entered the university, and on the registration day, seniors will actually explain to you for the suggested course selection or what do you need to do to prepare for a better uni life. And there are also other support like sponsorship for joining global competition, case competitions. So no worries for now if you still have a lot of confusion, because there is a list of support that you can get from IBGM. Yep. So speaking about support, IBGM is a really small community, and there are a couple of teams who to work hard to maintain this diverse yet close-knit community. So I would like to take a bit of time to introduce these 4 teams to you guys. The Career Alumni Relations Development is mainly responsible for organizing mentorship programs, career events, so that we can leverage on the prestigious IBGM network and let junior IBGMs learn from, get to know their seniors and build their careers before they graduate. The field trip department organizes international field trip and boot camp. So they're really responsible for the explorative outside of classroom experiences that we all really value. The publicity department manages merchandise, IBGM merchandise. They manage their website, they manage the social media. So they maintain the IBGM, promote IBGM to external audiences, and they also promote updates on different IBGM and share exciting news in the IBGM community. And just a heads up, we actually just launched our IG page for IBGM, so feel free to check it out. It should be in the link just sent out earlier on. So for the enrichment department, which is the department that I actually personally joined in year 1, we're responsible for organizing orientation as well as cross-cohort events to really maintain a close bonding among IBGMers, because ultimately we all hope that this would be a great experience for all incoming IBGMers. So in my personal opinion, it is a great opportunity to work closely with IBGM friends as well as seniors in these student committees. You learn from one another and work hard towards making this community a better place for future IBGMers. And it's also really fun. So if you join IBGM, we would really be excited to have you join us. I know some of you are interested in recruitment. So we usually send out recruitment emails in the first semester in your year 1. So just stay tuned to our promotions if you're interested.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I think after hearing so much exciting experiences about the IBGM, I think it's time for me to talk about how we can help you to finish your first step with IBGM. Okay, so I'm Dr. Jing Li, the Deputy Director and then Admission Tutor for the IBGM program. So I guess for the next couple of months, you will have a lot of connections with me, either by email or have interview with me. Okay, so here is the introduction about the admission for the IBGM program. And what you can see is for the quota for the coming cohort is 31, but this number is subject to change. Okay, it depends on the applications and the qualifications of each year's conditions. Like last year, we had more than that number, And then it's because we have quite a lot of applicants, and then they are very good and smart and talented. And then if you can compare these two pie charts between the 2020 and the 2019, what you can see is IBGM is trying to diversify and balance the students from different backgrounds. Okay, and then from the last year cohort, we have like about local and non-local is roughly half. And for the students from besides local, we have students come from mainland China, from Australia, from Turkey, Korean, Malaysia, India, and from for last year. Okay. And then for the next slides, and then this is the ranking for our IBGM program based on the average DSE admission scores in terms of best 6. So you can see that IBGM is ranked as the #1 across all the UG programs based on this number. Okay, so we are so proud that we can attract so many talented and smart students to join our program. And then you will see that for the 2019, the admission requirement is for full C plus 2 electives. So we changed to the best 6 in the year of 2020. But no matter which way we try to evaluate our rankings in 2019, we still rank as a #1. And how we can select our candidates. So the next slide can give you a brief information about the 4 major parts we try to evaluate. So the #1 is a strong interest. So IBGM is looking for the students who share the same interest with us and has a strong interest in this field. So we believe that choosing a major is a starting point for you to choose in your new life. Okay, so we highly value this part, and how we can see it is basically from based on your choices. Okay, so IBGM student programs will mainly target the students who put our program in the band A choices. Okay, so the next one, we will try to find the students who have very strong capabilities of academic learnings. So that means your DSE exam is one of the major evaluations that we try to check. Okay, and then besides your academic performances, we also value a lot about your balanced development. Okay, so all of your non-academic performances will be considered, like the music, arts, and sports. And for some of our potential candidates are very good at case competitions and have some already have their own startups. And so there are all the very important attributes that we highly valued. Okay, and then the last part will be the interview performances. As you know that the candidates for the IBGM program will be, the outstanding candidates will be invited to join the interview with our programs, and your performances will be the last part for us to evaluate and then to determine whether or not we will give you the offers. Okay, so the next one. So this will be the DSE exam requirements for the IBGM programs. Okay, so start from last year, 2020, we changed to use the best 6. Okay, that means we're going to evaluate your DSE exams that rely on 6 subjects. But among these 6 subjects, English and the math are the required subjects. And for the math, can be either the basic math or the extended module of math, which is the M1 or M2. So you can choose either one of them with the best scores to be used as your math score. Okay, and besides these 2 subjects, for the rest of the 4, so you have the freedom to choose the best 4 among the category A subjects. Okay, so since we highly value the English and the math, so we will give them a little bit higher weight, which is 1.5, when we calculate your final scores for the admission. Okay, and then for the next one is the summer statistics for the DSE scores for the IBGM program in last year. Okay, so for the total score, so this is has no other calculation by using the weight from our program, which is originally your examination score for the best 6. For the medium, number will be the 45, and the lower quantile is 43.5. Okay, and then for English and the math, these two subjects, and the medium and lower quantile, they were all 5 stars. Okay, so you will see this is the reference line for you to see what is the level of the score we are looking for. Okay, and then the next one. So I guess this is would be more interesting information about the admission that you wanted to know. Okay, so how we can select the candidates to join the interview. So here are the selection criteria. So number 1 will be the Band A applicants. As I just mentioned, so we're looking for the students who have strong interest about the global business and the management, and that we share the same interest in this field. Okay, so we only invite candidates to join the interview who put IBGM as Band A choice. Okay, and then besides that, and we have to evaluate your academic performances in your high school and your reference report and all other experiences and achievements. So feel free to share with us your other qualifications and the certificates or achievements, and all of this information will be evaluated and considered and for our selections and invitation for our interviews. Okay, and what are the whole process of the interview? So basically, for the IBGM applicants, you will have to join 2 rounds of the interviews. The first one is the faculty-based interview. The second one is the IBGM, our program itself, interviews. For the faculty-based interview, that is a group interview conducted in English. So you will be invited to join a group discussion about the topic, either related to economics or businesses, for the current affairs, for the other social issues. Okay, and your performances during the discussions will be evaluated. And for the IBGM interview, that will be 1-to-1 interview, and then we are going to evaluate it. We are trying to see many other attributes or characteristics that we are not able to identify from simply looking at your profiles. So, for example, like your communication skills, your soft skills, and your capability of your leaderships. And we may also talk about some of the topics related to global businesses. And we talk about your plan and interest about IBGM programs. So these are all the potential areas that we are going to talk about, and to help us to have a more understanding about you. Okay, and for the candidates who have joined the interviews, and then if you have a good performances, you will be offered extra points, which is the bonus points. So if you're interested about the IBGM programs, so my suggestion is try to put IBGM as your Band A choice, and then you would have a chance to have the interview. Then you will have extra bonus points besides your DSE scores. Okay, and usually the interview will be conducted in June, and so please stay with us and then to check your emails and about the interview arrangements. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So let me conclude and give you a brief outlook. So, we have just learned a lot about the IBGM program, the different futures and all the international aspects and global perspectives that that students can have in this program. Yeah, so if you aspire to be a future global leader and are interested in international business and global management, feel free to come and come join IBGM. So here's some more information. So the website, Facebook, Instagram. We have some videos on YouTube that you could look at. Again, there's also another video. So there should be the links in the chat window sent by Sasha now or in a short while. There's also a video about the previous HKU Information Day. Again, where we had even more students sharing with us. So for example, some students from DGS or DBS were also there. Some current IBGMers who shared their experience. So if you want to learn from more students, also feel free to check out these video from the HKU Information Day as well. We also have a brochure, so there's more information about IBGM. So feel free to take a look at all of these things. And now I would just say we're just going to go on and go into the Q&A. So let's see. So feel free to ask your questions now if you have any. So let's see, probably the best way would be to just use the microphone if you have one. But you know, if you prefer, you could also like type in the chat window. Or, although I think it's better to, you know, with the microphone and maybe even a video, so to have it more interactive. Yes.
So hello.
Yes.
Yes, you can hear me, right?
Yes, Maggie. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I have one small question, considering like all those amazing field trips and exchange programs. Like under the pandemic, how are the future arrangements? Since I'm a little bit concerned about it.
Yeah. So basically, that's an excellent question, and this has been something that we've been working on, you know, and thinking about ever since the pandemic began. So you know, just to say at the beginning, you know, our basically main priority is to make sure that everybody stays healthy, and you know, the students stay healthy, and the staff and the, you know, people who join the trips as well, they stay healthy. So that means so far, you know, we have keep postponing the trips, and yeah, so hopefully so you know, for the more senior years, we have to make a decision now this year how we are going to do, for example, the field trip and so on. So we still hope to do it and to conduct it for the current senior year students, and for the junior year students, of course, the chances are even higher that that we can go ahead and you know, conduct it, like, you know, actually have a travel. Hopefully the vaccine will come out, and you know, everybody will be free of COVID soon. So yeah, so we'll you know, we try to do it under the condition that everybody should stay safe and healthy. Yeah, and so far we've just been postponing it, and we hope to actually conduct them soon. Now, I think for you, if you join IBGM, I hope that by that time, you know, by the time you get to the end of your first year, this would be where the first trip would take place, the Asia Pacific Study Tour. I hope by that time, you know, for sure, you know, the pandemic situation will be resolved. And so I think for you guys, it probably would not be so relevant anymore in terms of postponing it. Yeah, so that's basically what we've been doing. Yeah. So
yeah,
number one, basically safety first, and number two, we try to let it take place, you know, under the given conditions. Yes.
Yeah, that's really a wise move. So may I ask another follow-up question?
Sure.
Yeah, so is that I've heard that some business schools or like case competitions, they will switch to like online platform, and by doing so, they can connect like students in HKU and also other students from like America and Europe, and they can cooperate. So I guess that IBGM will have like similar programs or arrangements, and I guess that's also really exciting already.
Yeah. So I think for that, actually, we have, you know, a lot of students, current IBGMers here, who are very active with the case competitions. So yeah, so maybe, you know, Theresa, Helena, Bianca, maybe one of you can share a little bit.
Maybe I can share a little bit. So I had an international case competition just this month. It was held in Washington, supposedly, but we cannot really physically travel there. So it's a week-long competition, but all events are held virtually on Zoom. So I think the only disappointing part is that we really can't physically travel there and like go to Washington places. But then for the networking part or like learning experience, it's still amazing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can still derive like the core values from the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially that you can stay in your room just in your room and then listen to
Yeah.
other people's performance. Yeah, you can really gain a lot from this experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Sure.
you. Next question, please.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
I want to ask, what are the factors that students take that makes them take a gap year between their curriculum?
I think that would be a great question for maybe Devlin.
Yeah, Aisha, very, very good question. I think you would take gap years or semesters when you want to gain more work experience. So I personally didn't really know what I wanted to go into because I guess, you know how I talked about more traditional industries just now, things like consulting and banking, and how those, how they recruit talent for the pipeline is that they would, you would do a penultimate year internship. So after your year 3, during the summer, you would do the internship. And then if you do well, then they'll give you a return offer, in which case you can go back full time. So I didn't know what I wanted to do in year 3. And so I did something called private banking, which is, I guess, similar to wealth management, where you're helping high net worth individuals manage their wealth, help them invest their assets. But after doing the summer internship, I realized that it was not really my cup of tea. It's not a career that I want to develop in. And so because of that, I decided to take a gap year to sort of switch my career path into investment banking. And so I did a whole gap year to do 2 internships in investment banking to get myself prepared and to, you know, make sure that I'm familiarized with the work nature, etc. So in short, I'd say you usually take a gap year if you want to switch your career path. Or another way, it sounds a bit bad, but you know, if you don't succeed in your penultimate year applications, taking a gap year sort of gives you a second chance to reapply for a penultimate year internship to hopefully secure a full-time job. Because I think the unfortunate reality for many traditional industries like banking and consulting is that it's extremely difficult to secure a graduate role. So if you haven't done the penultimate year internship and you try to recruit straight out of your final year, it's going to be extremely difficult and headcounts are extremely limited. And it makes sense from a firm's perspective, because from a firm's perspective, they want you to go through the internship program, usually 10 weeks, to see whether you're good enough to come back full time. They usually don't just recruit straight out of high school. That's very rare. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
You mean straight out of university?
Oh, sorry, university, not high school. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Bianca, you also had a gap year, right? Or a gap semester?
Yeah, I'm currently taking a gap semester. So I'm actually, not usually in campus. Is my camera frozen, I think?
No, we can see.
Oh, okay.
At least
okay.
I can see
maybe it's just on my side then. Yeah, what motivated me to take a gap semester? I think it was, well, first of all, like as Devlin said, I think it gives you a better chance to equip yourself and prepare your CV, your profile for future, work applications. And for me personally, I think it's also because I am still not exactly sure what I want to head towards after I graduate, like what sort of field I want to pursue. So I think taking a gap year would be a really good opportunity for you to explore and take the time to consolidate your thoughts and try different fields before you really determine and make a decision. For example, like I'm working at KPMG and risk advisory. So I'm trying to see if I'm interested in consulting. And on the side, I'm also continuing to develop Mealingful to see if that startup field or maybe venture capital or NGO field would be something that I'm more interested in my future career. So I guess this is taking a gap year really gives you the time and space to explore more, I guess.
Yeah, and just one last point I would like to add is that I think many people have the misconception that taking a gap year sort of ruins your profile. I actually completely disagree with that. I don't think employers actually care. I think it actually shows that you're reflecting and you care about your career choices and you're willing to take a gap year to, boost up your profile, boost your CV, try out different careers that you're interested in. So please don't see it as a sort of a scar to your profile.
I think it's a great chance to, as long as you justify like why you took the break and how you best utilize your time during the break, then it would be employees would see that and treat it as a great experience.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Do you have a follow-up question?
No, I got everything I needed. It was a great answer. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, next question, please.
Hi, can you hear me well?
Yes, Emily?
Yeah, I'm also interested in I want to know about the supports that's like in the business school. So I want to know about the career and also academic support that you receive as a IBGM student. And also I see that most of you have also your own startup. Like I see that most of the students in this sharing has they founded their own company. So I also want to ask how is the atmosphere like in founding a company in yourself in the school? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think these are again great questions that can be answered by our current IBGMers.
Yeah, maybe I can start first about my entrepreneurship sort of journey or adventure, and then maybe Bianca can share a bit more as well. So I founded two platforms. Well, to be clear, it's not a registered company. I'm not sure about Bianca's side, but from my side, it was sort of just a platform I founded. One is called Dragonfly, which I talked about previously, which is a mentorship platform to help students break into investment banking. And the second sort of platform that I founded was not investment bank. So IB, I mean International Baccalaureate, which is the high school curriculum. It's an IB tutoring center specialized on specifically economics. So when you say what is the environment like, or what is the whole experience like, I think, obviously it's an entrepreneurship, so you develop a lot of crucial entrepreneurial skill sets. Things like, managing a business or a platform from start to finish involves so many skills. Okay, it could be in the form of leadership. It could be in the form of teamwork, communication, negotiating with other parties. For example, at Dragonfly, I've had to attend so many meetings with lots of student societies abroad. You develop your communication skills because it's a mentorship platform, and to be able to mentor properly, you need to understand the mentee's needs. You have to be able to help them in the right ways, try to pinpoint what they need help with, etc. So I guess the skill sets required will highly depend on the nature of the business. I suppose that, maybe on Bianca's side, I guess the skill set she developed and what the environment was like was very different. But all I can say is from my side, all the soft skills that you need to succeed in a business setting was developed through my entrepreneurial experience at Dragonfly and Transcend Education.
Yeah, I mean, speaking, I guess like in terms of more formal support, you can, as long as you raise what you're doing and share your story, I think a lot of people in IBGM, it could be Dr. Buehlmaier, it could be our professors or seniors within this community, they're really supportive of what you do. They can link you up with connections or share their advice with you. And I guess like what I would like to highlight further is the sort of the community that and the sort of learning that you can apply in your startup journey. For example, like throughout IBGM, you get a lot of training in terms of, for example, presentation, pitching, storytelling, etc. So I think that really aided me in terms of applying for fundings and getting support from external funders. On the other side, like I heard you ask about the atmosphere within IBGM. I think it is a really supportive community, and there is a wide diversity of people coming from different nations, coming from different backgrounds with different interests. So they're all working on their their own individual initiatives. I mean, Theresa has her own initiative as well. And other of my batchmates, they have charity initiatives, or they have marketing or, startup initiatives. So when you see people working on their own initiatives, and like we encourage one another and give advice on each other, even though it might not be directly related, but it's a really motivating community to be in, I think. So if that is something that you're looking forward to, I think IBGM will be able to provide you with this sort of supportive community.
Great, thank you. Does this answer your question?
Can I also ask about the academic support that you receive? Because like if you're struggling academically, will there be like small tutor groups or something like that?
So I'm not sure if I understand this correctly because there's some background noise, but the question is like, if just to make sure we understand it correctly. So the question is, if somebody has some academic issues, and maybe with the GPA or other things, like what would be the things that they could do, and what kind of support would they get? Is that your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, who wants to chip in? So we had before this slide on academic support. So this was Theresa was talking about this. Maybe you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I would say for IBGM, what the department or the seniors can provide would be which course you can select in different year. But for specific skills or the way how you learn, I think it mostly depends on you. But of course, you can get some resources. For example, the past assignment done by your senior or some student that has completed that course before, then you can ask for seniors to get those resources, which can be quite helpful because when you have to think about for example, because IBGM students, most of them get quite a high grade in quite a number of courses. So you can actually take reference from their a grade A essay or grade A other assignment project, etc. So I think this is quite helpful in helping you to get a better grade, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Theresa. So you might know that Theresa had a very high grade in the JUPAS Hong Kong DSE exam, so it's good to listen to her. Yeah. And I just want to add also that so there's a lot of academic advising as well. So maybe let's see if I can just share this slide again. So yeah, so basically, so for example, I'm an academic advisor for the IBGM students, right? So that means if they have any issues or questions or whatever, they can come to my office, or maybe nowadays if some of them are overseas because of the the pandemic situation, so we can have a Zoom call and so forth. There's also some counseling, like there's a thing called 𝙁𝙧𝙬𝙧. It's like for the students where they can get some additional counseling if they have any issues. And of course, if there's any like specific issue with the course, then the course instructor will always be there to help you. So students can just approach them, talk with them, in the break, or come to their office hour, and so forth. Yeah. So yeah, or Dr. Li Jing is also the also academic advisor to our students. So yeah, so basically, like if there's any kind of issue, then there are multiple sources where you can get help and support. Yeah, so we're always there for our students. Yeah, so so just historically speaking, I think the students are also very very motivated. And so they often also help each other quite a lot. So for example, from the senior students, you could, let's say you would join IBGM, and there's maybe, number one, you get to know all your fellow students and from the same year. For example, we have, this leadership boot camp that we talked about. Then, as Bianca mentioned before, there's this orientation series, where this is actually even before the semester begins, or at the very beginning of the semester, or the first semester. So you get to know your fellow students from the same year. You get to know the senior students, right? Because this is organized by the enrichment students department. So you meet all these senior students as well. Yeah, so basically, like there's a lot of support available. And in fact, oftentimes, I ask the students, if you have any issues, just let me know, contact me. And most of the time, the students actually, they can work it out amongst themselves. And if they cannot, they just come, for example, to me or to Dr. Li Jing or to other people. and we help them and we support them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any follow-up question? Or what does this answer your questions?
Yeah, it's all good for me. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you. All right, so I just see in the chat window, there's Qiqing Wong who has something about admissions. So maybe this is for Dr. Jing. So thank you very much for the sharing. Observing the current situation of the pandemic, I would like to ask, how would the interview take place? Thank you very much.
Okay, I think I can take care of this question. So for sure, the interview will be on schedule. Okay, so so the only thing for this year we should consider is whether or not we should use the face-to-face interview. But I think based on the current situation of the pandemic, it's very likely we're going to have the Zoom interview for both the faculty level and the IBGM program level interviews. So you just need to stay with us by checking your emails, and that's very likely the interview will scheduled in June after your DSE exams.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then Patrick has a question. Hi, how should I prepare better for the IBGM interview as a F5 student? Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is also about the interview specifically for the IBGM interview. So as I just mentioned during the introduction of the IBGM admission part, so the IBGM program interview has our own specific focus of evaluations. So basically all your information that can be reflected on the paper that we already have it for evaluation. But we believe there are quite a lot of other attributes, which is also very important to both you and us, cannot be fully discovered from the paper itself, I mean the profile itself. So that's why we have this IBGM interview. And basically we will try to talk about the topics, but not limited it to like, for example, your communications. We are going to evaluate your communication capabilities and your soft skills and your potential or your capability of your leaderships. And also we will talk about your interest and your plans with us. And that is try to help us to find out whether or not this is a good fit for both you and our programs. And also we will talk about some of the topics related to the global businesses and global management. So so given that, I think if you really wanted to the preparations about the interviews, so you can start to think about how you can understand the global business and economics and how you can practice your communication skills. But I think, so our current IBGM students, they are already successful players all through these interviews. Maybe we can ask some of them to share their experiences of having the interviews with us.
Yeah, so how about Bianca, Helena, Theresa, Devlin? Yeah. So for Helena and Theresa, they are right now the most junior students in those four that are here today. So that means they have had the interview most recently. So do you have anything to share? Any advice?
Perhaps I can share a bit. So I guess the things you can prepare before an interview would be to read more news and be aware of the social issues going around the world. Like for my year, can I like disclose the question? I'm not sure if I can do that because like the question in my year.
I think that is fine because the question will be changed every year. So.
Okay. So for me, the group interview, we had a group discussion on how to make Hong Kong a smart city. So like you'll have a reading with like 5 pages, around 5 pages, and then you get to have some time to prepare for a group discussion. So I guess the technical parts are not that important, but then we'll really like to see the communication skills as well as like analytical skills you'll have in our potential students. Yeah, so that's basically it, I'd say.
So for me, I actually done the interview after the release of the JUPAS result, because in the first place, I didn't pick IBGM because the qualification is too high and I'm not confident that I can get into this program with my DSE results. So I actually choose IBGM afterwards, and then I have an interview with the deputy deputy director. So in that interview, I would say it is rather a communication, a conversation with the interviewer, and in which you will share, you do a self-introduction, you share the reason why you want to get into this program, and what do you want to learn more about this program. So I think if you choose IBGM as maybe your A1 choice in your JUPAS after the release of DSE result, then I think what you need to know is the reason, the motivation for you to join this university and also joining this program. So that would be the most important thing for that interview. Yep.
Yeah, maybe I can share a bit too. I think my my interview experience is very outdated since I'm a year 5 student right now, and also I'm part of the non-JUPAS admission. So perhaps the interview format was a bit different. For me, it was a one-on-one interview. But I guess in terms of how you can prepare and how to excel in the interviews, just 2 quick things from my side. One, I really agree with what Helena said about commercial awareness and just reading more about news, because this shows that you're actually interested in a global business and economics environment. So when you read the news or whatever news source you read, SEMP, Wall Street Journal, or whatever you read, try to think about how these issues are impacting businesses, okay? And commercial awareness is so important, and get familiarized with a range of sectors. Try to think about it from a business's point of view. How, if I was a CEO, if I was a business manager, how would I think about these issues? You know, if you could show that you can really think outside the box and not just paraphrase new articles, but actually offer insights that are beyond paraphrasing, I think that's extremely important. And this is not just for IBGM interviews. If you do get admitted into IBGM programs, lots of times you'd have to do interviews involving case studies or just reading news articles and offering your thoughts about it. So it's very important to go the extra mile and not just summarize, right? You have to offer interesting insights, and you do that by practice, and you do that by thinking outside the box. Second thing that I think is really important is you definitely need to practice your storytelling skills. I think a lot of what makes business is just being able to present yourself and learning how to package yourself. I don't think there's an easy way to do this. A lot of this really boils down to practice, but I guess I do have a tip for you when you're talking about yourself and your own personal experience, is to follow what I call the STAR structure. So the STAR, so S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, and R stands for result and reflection. I think this is a very useful structure whenever you're talking about yourself, because oftentimes, you know, interviewers might ask you things like, oh, tell me about a time you showed leadership. Can you tell me a bit more about this high school activity that you did? And lots of time you might just blabber on and talk for 4 to 5 minutes straight, and you don't get straight to the point. But I think following this structure really forces you to be concise with your answers. And my tip for you would be to focus more on, so of the 4 things, S, T, A, and R, I'd say to focus more on the A and the R, so the action and the result. Interviewers, honestly, you know, they're doing this every day, right? So they might not be able to grasp all the details of your story, but what they can grasp is what you took away from the story or the events. So if they ask you, tell me about a time you showed leadership, you know, chances are in the R section, you want to talk about what makes a good leader. How are you trying to become a good leader? What experiences are you taking to become that good leader? And what did you do to prove that you were a good leader in the action section? So these are some structures or some tips I have for you to improve your capability when talking about yourself. And all this, I guess, boils down to self-awareness. When I prepare for interviews, I consistently think about my own strengths and weaknesses, my own experiences, what did I take away from these experiences, etc. So I hope this piece of advice would help.
Bianca?
Yeah, I think like definitely broadening your business mindset is a really important thing, especially when you're in secondary school and you may not have that much experience in, understanding social issues or understanding like the business world. So it will be a great chance to increase your exposure. And I also think it's really important for you to be really comfortable in communicating in a team setting or presenting yourself in a team setting or under pressure, because I mean, if it is, if it's a group interview, there are a lot of uncertainties that may happen. You cannot control your group mates' performances. So you have to be prepared to respond on the spot and as well as present yourself confidently in a team setting and under pressure. So I guess not being overly aggressive as well as not being really intimidated by the setting is really important, which is something you can practice with, I guess, your peers or your friends. So I think that would be really essential in showcasing what you have prepared beforehand.
Yeah, and just to very quickly add on, one quick advice I have when it comes to group interviews is listening to other people, because other people might be able to offer insights that you've never heard of before. So don't just focus on getting your point across, because that's just very individualistic. And I think, to succeed in any business setting in the future, if you work for a global corporate, if you have any sort of leadership position, you need to be able to listen to others and think about it from their point of view. So I recommend in group discussions being able to paraphrase what other people have said, and then clarify their thoughts, and then identify the parts you agree or disagree with, and then build upon that discussion will really help keep the interview flowing. And it also shows that you're a great listener. You can synthesize problems well, and you can present yourself. So this is a tip I have for you when doing group interviews.
Right, and I just want to also kind of take this opportunity to so sometimes maybe there's this conception that IBGMers, these are these overachievers, and they are so good at everything they do and so on. But I think I hope you can kind of talking with us and talking also seeing with from the students. I think one key attribute is also being modest and being humble, down to earth basically, right? So for example, you saw from Theresa, right? So she was at the beginning not so confident about her result, but it actually turns out in the end, her JUPAS Hong Kong DSC results were excellent. So yeah, so basically being humble, being modest, I think that's part of our identity, right? So we are not arrogant or anything, right? And by the way, so we have this Q&A session now, but if at some later point in time you have any questions, after this session, also feel free to send me an email or send an email to Dr. Jing. And we're very happy to answer all your questions even after the session is over. But speaking of the session, so we still have some time so to take some further questions. So let's see, are there any further questions?
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes.
I'm really interested in ways to apply for the diversified internships for IBGM students. May I know that are the list of internships offered by the IBGM department and we can apply for our desired one? Or are we approaching the company or organization ourselves for the internships opportunities? Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. Yeah, so I think again, a great question for the students, especially maybe for Devlin, because he has been very successful and he's in his final year, has a full-time offer already from City, right? And has Dragonfly, a career platform. So yeah, so let's hear from Devlin. But the others, they might also have something to say. Yeah, so let's see.
Yeah, so one thing we have to make very clear is that IBGM is not going to be sort of the middleman to help you secure internships, right? Because when you apply for jobs, you ultimately still apply through the company. IBGM is not going to give you free internships. You definitely have to work hard for it. But that's not to say that IBGM doesn't offer you support. IBGM offers you a bunch of support when applying for internship programs. And I think a big part of this really boils down to how exclusive the IBGM group is. We only have 30 students, right? You're very close with the 30 people. You're also close with the 30 people above you. And so what I found very useful from the IBGM program is just being able to talk to seniors who have experience with finding internships and following their footsteps, okay? Once you see that the senior above you did this or that internship, you can follow their footsteps, ask them for tips, and your interview performance will naturally be a lot higher. And also, IBGM does have, I guess, well, a lot of quote unquote soft power within HKU, lots of internships, opportunities, or even like, professional development programs do oftentimes favor IBGM students. There's more generally exclusive internship opportunities. For example, the Neuberger Berman Private Equity Internship Program. I think this program on average each year definitely takes 2 to 3 IBGM students. I know that the Accenture Consulting Program also takes in a lot of IBGM students. And the reason is simple, is simply because, the interview performance of IBGM students tend to be higher. We're able to present our thoughts. We're able to analyze business problems critically. So just to summarize, no, IBGM won't directly feed you internships. You have to work hard for it. But IBGM does offer the network and the support required to help you excel in the internship. And third, a lot of professional development programs offered at HKU do in some sense favor IBGM students due to the skill sets we have. So I hope that answered your question. And others, feel free to share.
Yeah, so by the way, I just posted a link on the in the chat window where there's to our website where there's a part about career development. So I think you can see also more about this directly on the website if you want to find out more specific details about this. Yeah. In the meantime, any other students want to share? So Devlin already did such a good job explaining everything. Yeah, he said everything that is relevant. Yeah.
I guess I'll just really quickly add on one last thing. 5 years ago when I first got in, one thing I really regret was not sort of exploring my own career path and finding the relevant internships early on. I really had to play a catch-up game. So even though I guess I'm in a good position right now, I have a full-time offer from both Citibank and Greenhill, but it took a lot of hard work from year 3 and 4. I worked extremely hard. Year 1 and 2, I sort of regret sort of like slacking off, I guess, and not focusing on internships. So if you guys do end up getting enrolled in the IBGM program, I'm not saying you have to, go hardo mode since day 1 and year 1, but it's good to really start thinking about what career you want, because certain careers are very punishing. For example, if you want to aim for investment banking, and in year 1 and 2 you have no relevant internships, you basically can't get the job, because the competition is extremely intense in certain industries. I'm not too familiar with consulting, but I also heard that that's also similar. You have to start preparing for interviews early. You have to get the right internships, etc. So internships, I think I said this in the presentation earlier on, just want to reemphasize, it's a stepping stone. So once you get the first internship, the next internship gets easier, etc., etc. And you can build upon your profile. And during the interview, you can leverage upon the stuff you did and talk about your experiences. So internships are very important, and I recommend you guys to start thinking about that once you enter into your first year.
Yeah, I can only confirm that. So, and this is actually also what I keep telling the students, to focus on internships right from the start. It does not mean that you need to that this is going to be your career path, right? It just means that you, number one, you show, that you're you take the initiative and you're an active person. And number two, it gives you a great opportunity to learn about yourself and about, what's going on outside of IBGM in the business world, or, in, wherever you want to work, whatever you want to work for, like a startup, bank, consulting, IT, government, NGOs, and so forth. So, even if you're, let's say, your first internship, it's maybe not, after the fact, it turns out maybe that's not what you want. You have learned a great deal because you know what you don't want, right? Which is very important, right? And so especially, in the first year or maybe 2, a lot of students, they are still exploring, like what learning about themselves, learning about what the world, the business world looks like. And so, even if you then say, okay, well, let's say you did an internship in whatever banking or something like that, and then you figure out, okay, well, this I kind of like it, but then I rather do something else, maybe consulting or whatever, the first internship will still be useful for you, right? In the next internships that you take. So people will look at your CV and your resume, and they will see, okay, you have done this internship, and this is somebody who has learned something and who shows initiative. So even though you change the industry, it's still going to be very, very useful to you. So I always encourage students to start early on with the internships for these reasons. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, it definitely answered my question. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. All right, let's see. So maybe we have time for one more question, or maybe two, depending on how much time we take to answer. The next question, please. Anyone? Okay, so let's see, since no more questions. So we have collected some questions before. So let's see, maybe we can take some questions from before. So oftentimes, I think so for admissions, we already went through most of them. Yeah, so any admissions related questions still? Anyone? Now is the time. Okay, all right, so it seems no more specific admissions related questions. Then maybe we can take a question from the program related questions. Yeah, so one question was, what are the arrangements for the exchange opportunities under the pandemic? So as this is one of the major features of the program. Thank you. Yeah, so I think this is again kind of similar to the the international field trip and the Asia Pacific study tour. Although this is now really kind of also this is where the university has also some guidelines in place due to the pandemic. So for example, what students could do so far, and keep in mind this takes place in the third year, right? So if once you join IBGM in this September 2021, this would be like way in the future for you, and hopefully by that time this will no longer be an issue. But I can tell you what's happening right now. So for example, the students, they can choose between postponing their interview, the exchange. They can also choose to do a virtual exchange if the exchange partner offers it, and they can also choose to do a partially virtual exchange. So that means they take some courses at the exchange institution and some courses at HKU. So this is how it is currently handled, for example. Yeah. So students basically have the choice, right? And if they hope that if they want to do it at some later point in time, they would not have to do it in the third year, but they could they could postpone it. Yeah. But again, like I hope by the time you join and you are then it's your turn to go on exchange, I hopefully this whole situation will be improved anyway.
Mr. Buehlmaier, do you mind if I add just a very quick point about interviews?
Sure,
I think a lot of people here are very concerned with the interview rather than the program structure, because I think we walked through a lot of the program stuff already.
Sure.
I think one thing I found very useful when doing well in the IBGM interview or any other interview is sort of knowing what makes you stand out. So think about your profile and think about what the interviewer would think about you beforehand, and then try to show the unique aspects about yourself, because you don't want to be like a sheep in the herd, right? There's so many DSE students, there's so many people from secondary school applying for IBGM for the IBGM program. You need to think about what differentiates yourself, whether it be your achievements, whether it be your background, etc. So for me, I remember in my IBGM interview, I talked a lot about my family because I was raised by a family of lawyers. My parents are lawyers. I have 3 siblings and 2 of my brothers are lawyers as well. So that really helps me develop critical thinking, helps me develop commercial awareness, etc. So I know not everyone might have this background. So you can use things like what you did in high school. For example, if you're very passionate about sports, you've held a lot of leadership positions at school, that can be a differentiating point. And you can talk about your takeaways from these aspects to really improve your interview performance. And I guess the second tip I have for you is more about the mindset. I think lots of people, I remember my IBGM interview, I was sweating a lot and I was just super, super nervous. I think you guys need to recognize that every time you experience these interviews, you're going to improve for next time. So, you know, go in with the mindset that I'm going to show myself under the best light possible. I'm just trying to do my best so that I can improve for next time. Because whether you like it or not, everything in the real world doesn't have to be business. Anything will involve interviews, will involve you presenting your thoughts and you sort of talking about yourself. So treat this as a learning opportunity, even if you don't do well in the IBGM interview. Think about how you can improve for next time so that you can improve.
Great, thank you so much, Devlin. Thank you so much as well, Theresa, Helena, and Bianca. And of course, last but not least, thank you, Dr. Jing. And of course, thank you all, for you prospective students, for being here. So I think this brings us to the end of this information session. Again, feel free to check out our webpage, our social media on Facebook and Instagram, and all the other things mentioned in the chat window. Again, if you have any questions later on, feel free to send me an email or send an email to Dr. Jing. We're happy to answer all the questions you might have. And yeah, so without further ado, thanks again. Have a nice Saturday afternoon, and I wish you a nice weekend ahead. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a fantastic day.
Bye.